Hello, everyone. Come on in the room. So, my little special butt decided to run the dishwasher, and I don't know even know what I was thinking. But if you hear some noise in the background, that is exactly what that is. We'll get started in a few moments. Actually, I should have a live guest, come in for a little while. But everybody else that has been on a book review with us, if you want to come on and share, the link is at the top of the chat. So you can just, like I said, click that link and I will let you in and we can discuss or answer questions, or you can add to the discussion. While I am waiting, I'm going to share this video. It's dropping something. I think that's my guess. So give me a moment. This is yeah, but it's about boundaries, so we want to talk about that.
Because I ain't got none. That's what people think.
I think somebody get ready to move in with me that I didn't even ask. So everybody, we are live, and we already just started discussion.
Can I go first?
So come on over. Introduce you. Okay, we're gonna reconfigure this and come over here, and I'm gonna put this over here.
Which one am I sitting? This one on this
Either
side?
way, either side.
Sit here. Hey. Or do I need to have a mask on so I can be anonymous?
So, oops, I don't know what I just did. Hopefully that wasn't something. Okay, here we go. So I can know what's going on and we can chat. So introduce yourself, guest.
Hello, I am your guest today. My name is Linda Nash, and I need some help, y'all.
So I know everybody hasn't got the book yet, but as you know, I like to start, and as you hear and you want to buy the book, we can go along. So we are talking about boundaries today. This is the book. So it is Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab. At least I read the first 5 chapters, and I was like, there's so much already that it's so much already that I don't like. I'm going to get as much in here as I can, but I know I set boundaries in a sense that I'm very rigid. I don't communicate boundaries very well, but I have them. So when you cross them, you might get cut out of my life and not know why you got cut out.
I'm the same way.
But I'm not good at, and it's not all the time. I think it's with certain people that I'm not necessarily good at communicating them, but I am very good at enforcing them. But for the other person, that's not okay. You know what I'm saying?
All the way here, let me tell y'all. So I had this conversation with somebody that I used to date this morning, and I don't want to be in a full-on relationship with this person. But he called this morning. He's like, I'm coming to visit you for a month. Is that okay? Who does that? Who does that? And I should have been cussing and saying something in response because, all the red flags, everything was going off. Beep, 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 beep. And you know what I said?
Oh, what'd you say?
Oh, okay.
See, that's exactly why we need this book. Because we'll see the red flags. And like I said, it's not with, at least I can speak for myself. I don't know, you can speak for yourself. But certain people, it's just a hard no. And then there's certain people they pull on your heartstrings. They have a you're just more sensitive to, and then you let them cross boundaries, and not even your real character. So other people looking at you like, if it was me, you would have told that person off by now.
All the way here, I was like, "What's Shamila gonna say when I tell her I got somebody living with me for a month? I don't even want him living with me for 30 minutes."
Right?
But now I'm in it. I said it. So when I come back with, well, I don't think so. Well, you said I could come.
But okay, even with that, we have the right, and this what this book was like, even in the first 5 chapters, we from day to day, from moment to moment, we can change our mind. You know what I'm saying?
I changed my mind. Well, actually, I don't change my mind. I never wanted it to be that way in the first place.
You didn't create
acknowledge it.
Exactly. And we need, all of us need, I know me, I need to do better. So in her introductory, she was like, boundaries will set you free. Like literally, she was like, the signs that you need boundaries. And let me go to this, is that you feel overwhelmed.
I'm overwhelmed.
You feel resentment towards people for asking for your help. You avoid phone calls and interactions with people you think might ask for something. You make comments about helping people and getting nothing in return. You feel burnt out. You frequently daydream about dropping everything and disappearing. And you have no time for yourself. What do you think about that?
I think she's writing about me.
Right.
I don't appreciate her being in my business.
I was like, wait a minute, I thought I was doing pretty good.
No, she all up in our business.
Right.
She don't even know us.
She don't even know us. And then she gets to the number one fear or reason that people avoid setting boundaries is fear of someone getting mad at them. I'm not 100% with that. I feel like sometimes that could be for other people, but for me, I feel like sometimes, like I said, because it's usually with a small portion of people that I'm not able to articulate those boundaries, and it's because it's something they're close to me. They got in my heart for some. You know what I'm saying?
Is it males more or females, or is it a combination of them both? Is it friendships or entanglements or relationships that you have more of? Do you feel
it could be a combination. It's those friendships that are very long term, like people that you've known since you were a kid, and then relationships to a certain extent. Because I am anti. Well, I'm cut and dry. But if you get in, there was a reason why you got in,
right?
So at that point, I'm more sensitive towards you.
So you're trying to hold on to it because
I don't know. I don't know what it is, because to a certain extent, because you want to preserve a relationship if you feel it is a good relationship and it's benefiting you in some type of way. But when I'm done, and I think.
But do you have to be done?
That's the thing. I don't think I have a middle ground, and that's why I bought this book. Because I was like, either you're on and off. And I think there needs to be a middle ground, and I don't have that with me.
I had an older young lady that she was out of Chicago. She has since passed. But she told me, she said, Linda, you don't have to cut people off completely. And I'm still working, and maybe because she's not with me anymore to keep putting it in my ear, I don't practice it as well. But she said a circle has 360 degrees on it. And she said, you put people what degree they are, and you don't have to cut them off forever or not deal with them. You just put them on a degree. So when we put people, when we think they're number 10 on a degree mark and they really should be 259, we just put them back.
That makes sense.
Because they can come back.
Yeah, I like that. I really like
and we don't have to end it completely. Yeah. But if we don't have boundaries, maybe that's the reason why when we don't have boundaries, that's what we do. We cut them off because we don't know how to set the boundaries, and we don't know how to bring them back up on the 360 degree wheel, circle.
Right.
We don't know how to do it.
I think that's definitely right for me, because
you let that person get away with, okay, I'm going to just kind of a hypothetical, but it's my situation, but I'm going to name names. So you know her for so long, and that it's been like in and out. It hasn't been that you're constantly around that person, but you value that relationship. Right. So it's not like you actually needed to set a boundary because they're not in your face all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're in and out, and they're not there majority of the time.
So what would be that person's degree right now on that 360?
Oh, they're not even on that 360.
Can you bring them back? Can
no,
you put
I
them
can't.
on 360?
Like, I'm a Scorpio. Once you're gone, like once I cut.
But we're setting boundaries so we don't have to cut them off, though. I thought that's what we were doing.
We are, but this is before the book.
So we learned some stuff. Bring them back to 360 and just leave them back there.
Just leave them like that?
Just leave them at 360 for a while and see if he can work his way back around, maybe to like 149 or something.
Maybe. But the thing is, I would never, just because it was so much that happened. And then, like I said, I've seen it in retrospect after a blow up. And I didn't think a blow up should have even happened. So I was like, what the heck? Like, it was a blow up and it didn't even need to happen. So I was like, so are we even friends? What is this?
Right.
So now he's not even in the circle at all. He's not. So I don't get that.
This is a circle and he's outside the circle.
He's not even in the vicinity.
He's all the way over there.
The circle, and then he's
all
way
the
over
way.
there. Yeah. So yeah, she goes into clarity saves relationships, and this is where I am, because again, let me get to the right page. Like if you don't clarify your boundaries, how do people know that you have them?
They don't.
And
they're just like children.
Right.
Grown-ups, adults are just like children. They keep on.
Right.
Keep on.
It is so funny because, like I said, for certain relationships, I have absolutely no. It's so funny because I don't know if this is everybody, but everybody don't get the same version of Shemila.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it could be very drastic. Somebody could be like, Shemila, oh my gosh, she has a beautiful heart, and she's so giving, and she's so understanding. And somebody be like, she a little hellion, and both are right. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like she would tell you off real quick. She would cut you, and she would shoot you and look at you like you did it, and both of them are right. So,
what does it work for you?
But it depends. It works because I'm dealing with different people. I'm reflecting in a sense, in my mind, in a sense, I'm reflecting. You came at me a certain way, and I'm like putting up walls and whatever, or you're doing something that I don't feel is safe for me. So whatever. So if I'm dealing with this person and they give me warm and fuzzies and they're respectful in their communication, respectful in their interaction, and they've been consistent with that, they're getting a whole different Shemila. If you come at me and you've been disrespectful, inconsistent, gaslighting, you gonna get, Aisha. Shemila ain't even there no more. You get the alter ego that you're like, I don't even know who that chick is.
Yeah, I'm Letitia in my alter ego.
So like I said, both of those could be right, but with every relationship, I feel like there should be some sort of communication where I'm not there all the way with. Communicating a boundary, like I said, some I'm very clear and some I'm very not, and I need to do better. Like she was like, the reason people don't respect your boundaries is you don't take yourself seriously. So you set a boundary, somebody crosses it, and you don't say whatever that repercussion is. You don't do that. So, and then she said, you don't hold people accountable. Again, the same thing. You apologize for setting boundaries. You allow too much flexibility. You speak in uncertain terms. You haven't verbalized your boundaries. They're all in your head. That's me sometimes. The last one is definitely me sometimes, because I have this thing and I come to realize it later on that you, in a sense, you were like, common sense is common sense. No, it's not, because your common sense, in a sense, is how you've been raised.
Right.
So it's common sense in your household or the household you've been raised in.
But it's not for everybody.
That's not for everybody. So you're expecting people, you're like, say you let somebody borrow something, and because actually this example was in the book, like you say, and this actually happened to me when I lived in Atlanta, Georgia. Someone's like, can I borrow your car? I'm like, sure, because I trusted them to borrow my car. In almost the same exact scenario in the book, they bring it back dirty with no gas in it.
No gas.
And it's like, common sense would have told you, if somebody let you borrow their car.
But see, I don't even think it's common sense. That's respect.
That's respect. But it's like, and that at that time I did vocalize. I was like, who does that? Like, no, I said, I said, who? I said, I have, because at the car that I had at the time had white leather in it. And I was like, who allows a child to eat chocolate in somebody else's car? Yes. I was like, no. Somebody got to go clean my car and put some gas in my car. I said, if I was, at the goodness of my heart, allow you to use my car, why would you allow your child to eat in my car? Like, this is somebody else's car. So I did vocalize that, definitely.
But it took you being angry.
It did take me being angry.
I don't know if all the time, this one thing I got to deal with today, I don't always know if you got to vocalize it, though. Okay. Your boundary.
And that's what I thought. But every time, that's what I thought in a lot of situations. But then the boundary kept on getting crossed, and then I got into resentment mode.
Okay, so for me today, one thing I have to deal with, I was going to not be confrontational, but confront a person about I guess it is a boundary. She is very sometimey with me. So our first initial meeting of each other, she was very much, hey, how are you? And then from there on, it was very lackluster. She would act like every time she saw me, we were in the same circles, but she would act like every time she saw me, she had saw me for the first time. Like, she'd look at me like who are you? Yeah. like I had reinvented myself every single time I saw her. So I thought it was, odd. And then I thought she had a mental illness or like forgetfulness or something. Right. I was like, I don't know what this is. And then it kind of became comical to me. I was like, I see what she does this time.
Right.
And then she went from that to, hey girl, Black Girl Magic, how you doing? We doing it. She was very animated with that. And then just as of late, like the last 3 events that we've been at together, she's actually rolling her eyes now.
Oh.
So she's at the rolling eye stage, and I waved at her. I said, hey, from across the room, hey. And she said, but you wave and you turn, because I waved, and once she did it, and when she brought her hand down, she did like that. I was like, I think she just shooed.
I think she did.
But I thought about it this morning, and I said, I'm going to confront her about it and say, hey, if you have an issue with me, you don't even have to tell me. I really don't care. But I won't put any energy towards you anymore. If you don't want to deal with me, that's fine. For whatever reason, real or imagined, I'm okay with conceding that you don't want to be bothered with me, because then I will leave you alone.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what I thought. And then it came to me like, Linda, no, you don't have to verbalize that. Your actions speak. So I guess my action in this particular case, my boundary will be set by my nonverbal communication.
I do definitely agree, especially if you no longer with that person in your life. I think some of what she's, and not all of them, because you need boundaries, because she gets into different types of boundaries, like at work or whatever, they need to be communicated. But if you really no longer want that person in your life, like I said, I cut people off. It's bad, because I cut and keep it going like you don't exist.
I break up with you, but I would let you come back. And that's what I did with her. I let her come back. Yeah. And I shouldn't. And I'm beginning to think that the cutting off, like how you do it, might not be like the worst thing. on the planet. I'm still working through the 360 and letting them come back around.
Maybe
back
we
on
should
there.
switch because I need to work through this 360.
And I need to cut them off.
Yeah, I think.
Otherwise, I'm gonna have a roommate.
I think it's a balance, and that's what life is about. It's about balance.
And I know I'm not balanced.
Me too, and that's why again, all these books that I'm getting is bringing me into a better version of myself because I'm seeing. I think that's growth. That's maturity. Everybody, we're not perfect, and we all need some upgrade to us. I need the 13 whatever version of myself, like the iPhone 13X something version.
Yeah, I need an upgrade.
I need my upgrade, whatever that is for this season of my life. I need that, and when I see it. I'm not the person, I check my own self. I always say, I don't want to deal with your mess because I don't even deal with my own mess. Like, I don't deal with me. My mess, if I'm like, oh, Smiley, you being stank today. Like, I don't even like my own mess. So I'm not going to deal with other people bringing mess in my life. But again, in a balanced situation, depending on if you still want that person in your life, there must be communication.
I'm gonna give her some nonverbal communication today. Yes, I'm gonna do nonverbal. That's the type of communication that I'm choosing today, and that's how I'm gonna set my boundary. And even though we are in a lot of the same circles, I'm okay with being that you're invisible. Because I can make a person invisible. It's like,
quick. Right.
That.
I see right through it.
Yeah, I see it and I'm good.
Right.
I don't need it. But this time I won't let her back. And that's where my issue was. It's not her problem that I brought her back, that I allowed her to come back. It's not on her. It's on me.
Yeah, that's good because we have to recognize us. With the first situation I was talking about, what the person, like, that person was in and out of my life for years. And it's like, I did that. And when I finally showed that person the real Shamila, they didn't like the real Shamila because they got a version of me because I was soft. They had my heart. So when they seen the real, it was like, oh, she putting up boundaries and she's telling the truth when she's never did this. Yeah. So that's where the blow up came at.
Yeah.
So I have to own up to a portion of that.
That's right.
And realize that if you don't set a clear boundary, if you are not communicating what makes you feel good, what makes you not feel good, what you're going to tolerate, what you're not going to tolerate, you can't necessarily all the way blame the other person. Now, they need to grow up, and I need to communicate. So it's both of our fault. But own your part. That's what I'm saying. We need to start owning
And then when we own our part, what they do is none of our business.
It's none of our business. Exactly.
We got to handle whatever it is.
Exactly.
So her future interaction with me, or lack thereof, because it will be. My mom always told us it doesn't cost you anything to speak. So I'm always going to speak to people and be cordial with them, always. But I don't have to do the other stuff. And with her, I'm choosing not to even do the other stuff. And I'm not hurt by it, or because we were never friends.
Right.
We just was in the same circles. And, just kind of, it's unfortunate, but it doesn't affect me so much. I just have to set that boundary. So the next time this comes around, I'm no longer speaking of it again. Yeah. It is just a thing,
Yeah. Because I get even tired of talking about myself. I get tired of myself when I keep on bringing up the same issue. Because I get tired of other people when they bring up this. It's either fix it or go on, like, fix it.
Just to get out the pot.
Like, it's like, so when I hear myself, I get mad at myself. Like, why you keep on complaining about this? Either fix it or just whatever. Like, do something, but you can't keep on complaining about the same issue.
Nope.
So with this, she goes in chapter 1. She goes. She said, "What the heck are boundaries?" And it says, "Boundaries are a gateway to healthy relationship." Again, I totally agree with that.
Oh, for sure.
She said, I don't know if I want to get all into this. She said, because she's a therapist, I think, a licensed counselor. She said, I meet so many people, especially women, who give and give so much only to feel exhausted and even depressed as a result. This is why we live in a culture of burnout. And then she goes into what burnout means. Let me go to um, she gives a definition of what she considers value, because this goes into a story about a woman that got divorced. She has 2 girls. She's doing everything, and this was a good thing. She was like, or was that the area? Because she was talking about how the woman's mentality was. She grew up, and I think this is our era. We grew up when we see the women or the mothers taking care of everything, and we thought that's how we're supposed to do. Like they were just they were considered super women. They took care of everything without hardly even complaining. They just did it, and she realized that she could not sustain that. Like she could not sustain this. And so the author's definition of boundaries, she said, boundaries are expectations and needs that help you feel safe and comfortable in your relationships. Expectations and relationships help you stay mentally and emotionally well. Learning when to say no and when to say yes is also an essential part of feeling comfortable when interacting with other people. Definitely, I love that. Because it is. If I have to hide from you because something going on and you're annoying me, or I feel whatever, that's just, I'm not going to do it.
Well, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Especially if you're not that type of person and that's the thing that's happening, that you're hiding out from somebody, you don't want to talk to them, or you don't want to do something. So it's exhausting. And I don't want to do that.
I don't, especially if you're in the public a lot or whatever, you got this kind of like a thorn in the side, and it switches your whole mood. You know what I'm saying? You can have a good time, and that person walks in and it switches your whole. I don't want that.
I don't want it. No, thank you.
Exactly. And she talks about signs that you need healthier boundaries. She said you're neglecting self-care. She was like, just like on an airplane, they said put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. Neglecting self-care is the first thing to happen when you get caught up. And and others' desires to help, and our desires to help other people. And then she was like, the root of self-care is setting boundaries. I definitely agree with that. Like I said, I'm not going to go out of my way and neglect self, because she gets into this, and I'm not going to read verbatim because I don't know where that is in the 5 chapters. Like your body feels it. If a boundary
feels tense.
If your boundary is crossed, your body tells you that this is not good for you, and and my body just right away. It's like I tense up. It's like I'm literally. It feels like one of those movies where you see the energy like blocking like a force field and came out.
And I think that's how we get exhausted. That's why we're exhausted. Right. We're actually having this invisible or internal, I won't say invisible, but it's internal battle.
Yeah.
And so when we get finished with the battle, we didn't see the battle, but we're tired from it.
We're tired from it. And she, just what you said. She said you get overwhelmed. This is one of the most common manifestations of boundary issues. You're overwhelmed. You physically feel that. And then she said resentment and avoidance. What we were talking about, avoidance. And she said understanding boundaries. The meaning of boundaries. They are safeguard to overextending yourself. They are self-care practice. They define roles in relationships. They communicate acceptable and unacceptable behaviors in relationships. They are a parameter for knowing what to expect in a relationship. They are a way that you ask people to show up by upholding your needs. They are a way to communicate your needs to others. They're a way to create healthy relationships. They're a way to create clarity. They're a way to feel safe. Definitely agree with that.
All of them.
All of it, yeah. And she was like, and this one got me because I was trying to find my place in there. She said there are actually 3 levels to boundaries. And the poorest is that's when you really don't have a boundary. You have it in your head, kind of like I'm like a combination. So she said you overshare, codependency, enmeshment. I didn't even know what that meant until I read that. And inability to say no. So not all of these. People pleasing, definitely not.
Yeah,
Dependency on feedback from other, nah. Paralyzing fear of being rejected, nah. Accepting mistreatment. And
I think we accept mistreatment. Well, because you cut it off.
Yeah.
I accept the mistreatment and kind of let it linger on for a little while, and so that's not a good one. So I am definitely have a part of the first one.
So I'm trying to see. I'm less like this, but I'm more rigid. The rigid one is like, as she said, at the other extreme, rigid boundaries involve building walls to keep others out as a way of keeping yourself safe. This is me. I put up walls because once, like, I get antsy if especially when people try to come in too quick or whatever they're trying to do. I put up walls. I'm like, no, this is my space.
I start building them. So where you already have your 6 foot cinder block wall from the very beginning, when I feel like something like that is happening, I just put one layer. And so then I'll do another one. So that's my accepting the mistreatment, because I'm building it up.
Okay.
Whereas you get a 6 foot wall immediately and then you go from there. I start from a 0 and start moving up. But by the time I get to 6 feet, I might be on the first 48.
Right.
Because I done accepted so much.
Right. You're in snap mode.
I'm on Snap. I am the lead story on Snap. Because I just let it keep coming on. I'm just saying. So we have to find a way. I remember our bishop at church years ago, and he did a whole series on fear. Fear of rejection, fear of anger, all these different things. And one of the things he said that, you say yes all the time. And then eventually, before you know it, you're like, hell no.
Right.
You yelling it out. Exactly. And it wasn't even the person who deserves that.
Exactly.
It's the little old lady trying to, can you help me cross the street? Hell no.
No.
I didn't even do anything. Stop it.
Right.
So then we overreact because we haven't acted all of that time there. But I just, I do a lot of self-evaluation, and I just try to figure out, like, how did I get to that point? Did I start out that way? And I think I've always been that way. Just let things build up, and then I get there and go back down, and those kind of things there. But why? And it's a part of, I don't want to get rid of all of it because it's who I am.
It's who you are, exactly.
And it plays off of other things of why, if I'm in the airport, I could talk to all the people in the airport.
Right.
And even when they say crazy stuff to me, I still keep talking to them.
Yeah.
So it even goes with that. I've had some, just some run-ins with people, strangers, and they say something that's very offensive, and I'll continue to talk to them. Whereas if they had said it to you,
right,
that would have been the end of it. So when I look at it, especially when it comes down to people that I don't know, strangers, and when it's a race thing for me, I continue to go in with it because I want to show them something different.
Yeah.
So that's how I accept that mistreatment to try to get my point across, and not so much that that I'm verbalizing. This is my point. This is what I'm trying to say to you, but by my actions.
So with that, I want to go. Say you have a friend that you're getting microaggressions, racial microaggressions. Are you doing the same thing?
So yes, I have a friend of mine, and it's actually my friend's mother, and she said something to me one day, and it definitely was that, and she, of course, didn't realize it, and I know it was not a malice or anything like that. I will come back with something, and so what I think is something that she'll have to think about what I'm saying. So after doing that a few times, now when she says things to me, if she does say something that's racially motivated, she tones it down, try to say it better, or ask me what are my thoughts on this particular thing or whatever. She She is white. Her daughter's white, and her daughter has biracial children.
Mm-hmm.
And she said some things and not even realizing because we talk so much.
Right.
Like, oh shit, Linda's black.
Right. And that's,
like she have that moment. Like, yeah, I am.
And that's where this hair is getting hot now.
I know. I thought I was having a hot flash.
But I had, because just the environment I grew up in, we most of the schools I went to growing up, I was one of few Black people in that. So not knowing it, because the phrase wasn't even back then, the token Black friend, I found myself being a token Black friend. So as I got older and I'm seeing and I'm hearing things more, because I didn't, to be honest, I didn't, unless it was blatant, I didn't see it. But as I got older and I being around people and hearing their conversations and how they said stuff or how they try to treat you in the presence of other people, and I'm looking like, oh heck no! Like, see, it was like literally like it was something fell off my eyes. It's like my rose-colored glasses fell off, and I was seeing everything fresh, and it was looking like. So I literally had a situation that I was friends with somebody for a long period of time. And 2 years ago, it was like Black. First, because it was a lot of stuff leading up to that. Like, literally just...
Because you didn't set the boundaries.
Yeah, and it was things I heard. But the thing is, I used to check that person. Like, I'm like, oh, what was Chuck saying? Well,
so, somewhere along there, something happened.
Something happened. And it just was... and it just kept on... I felt like a converse or things were kept on being said that weren't appropriate, or not even about me. So like even the people in the area that I it's funny because this person went to the predominantly Black school as a white person. I went to the predominantly white school as a Black person. And she would talk about people that we mutually knew. And I'm going to say this person, Black guy, was a star athlete at her school, went on to, play in the NFL, all this other stuff. But in school, he was a good guy, smart kid. He was younger than I, smart kid, all that stuff. And we were having a conversation, and she was talking about how he was a thug. And I said, huh? I said, when was he a thug? And it was like categorizing people, because she only could have categorized him by his skin color and his ethnicity, because there was nothing about this
him
kid
in particular
that was a thug at all. Like, took care of his grandma, got good grades, whatever. So it was just stuff like that would come up, and I was looking like, and it was a lot of instances like that. And I was like, oh heck no. So when it clicked, it actually clicked around, it was the George Floyd thing. And
that's a whole thing.
Yeah. And it was something, I can't even tell you, because I really actually can't, but something clicked around that time. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. Every platform, every phone, social media, it just was blocked, because I'm like, I should not have to keep on telling you the same thing. And because I felt like, in a sense, not like, oh, these are my boundaries, but if I have to check you every time you're saying something about people of color, we got a problem.
Yeah, well, because the conversation isn't enjoyable.
At all.
And so if I don't enjoy your conversation, I don't want to talk to you. So now that is something on my boundaries that I don't even think of. But when I figure out that my conversation with you isn't enjoyable anymore, then that's the phone avoidance, kind of thing for me. And most of the time I don't be on the phone anyway. So you've been cut off.
Right.
When you can't get me at all.
Then she does get into healthy boundaries, and she was talking about this is where you're dealing with, because when it's healthy boundaries and the person accepts them, say, because she was actually talking about rigid and how people respond to that if they're not mature. But healthy boundaries, she said, being clear about your values, listening to your own opinion, sharing with others appropriately, having healthy vulnerability with people who've earned your trust, being comfortable saying no, and uncomfortable hearing no without taking it personally. And then she gets into setting boundaries and how people respond to it. And And she was talking about if people respond to boundaries in a healthy way, you know they're mature. Because I feel like I do respond to people's boundaries in a healthy way. They're like, oh no, I can't do that. Okay, I understand, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, because it's life. And then people have preferences. Oh, please take your shoes off when you enter my home. Oh, fine.
I still got my shoes on.
Oh, you're fine. No, that's not a boundary in my home. But then she talks about in setting boundaries, two parts is communication and action. It goes back to telling a person what your boundary is.
For sure.
And then if they cross it, stick to whatever you said you would do when you set that boundary. Because if you don't, they're not taking you seriously.
I think setting the boundaries, although it may be difficult for me, I think when the next step of that to me, if I'm having a difficult time setting boundaries, and then and I'm dealing with a person who also has difficulty setting boundaries, and the communication doesn't end up being there. My children and I have very good communication now, partly because they're so much older, and I have accepted that they are grown-ups. Because as they're growing, you always see them as, you're just little kids. Mm-hmm. But my daughters are adults. And I have always had it for them that they were not allowed to sleep in a room with someone of the opposite sex, their partner. I mean, I would say opposite sex, but their partner, that they're in a relationship, that they couldn't sleep in the same room in my house. Mm-hmm. They couldn't spend a night. They couldn't do that. And that was something that that was something that they instilled in me. And so they knew that. And I allowed a friend of mine's, his daughter and her boyfriend to stay at my house, and they slept in the room together, but they had a baby. Mm. And I was like, well, not my kid. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that I had put the boundary for my daughters, but I didn't put it for other people. Mm-hmm. And I allowed them to do that, to stay in there. And one of my daughters said, Mom, you know what? We're tired of you letting other people do what you won't let us to do. So I had to hear it. Sometimes hearing that other communication is really hard. Mm-hmm. So I accepted it in that particular case, what the boundary was for them. Like, don't treat us different because we're your children. And I took the boundary. And then the next time that my niece and her boyfriend came with their baby, prior to them coming, so I didn't do it that day, I told my sister, hey, my children are holding my feet to the fire about me doing this. So, my niece and her boyfriend, they can't sleep in the same room. They're going to have to sleep in separate rooms. I know they got a baby. Mm-hmm. I get it. But in this house, this is how this is. I think it's in What's Love Got to Do with It. Mm-hmm. And it made Bullock, her mama, say, I'm the only sinner in this house. Right. So going by that, I'm the only sinner in my house. And the communication, the lack of it started happening between my sister and I. Mm-hmm. And I believe in my niece as well, because I think I know they felt some kind of way that I would not let them stay in the same room, not in my house, but in the same room with each other. We can pull up an air mattress for you. The young man I'm referring to, there's other places that you can sleep and just not with her, because that's not cool with my children. Right. And my relationship that I have with them is very important. It's more important than my relationship that I have with y'all. Mm-hmm. So if I have to choose between who I'm going to keep this boundary with or break it, I'm going to choose them. Right. They're my kids. Yeah. And I think that started a real issue. And so I know that when you're dealing with someone and you're having a problem with setting boundaries, and you're dealing with a person that has a problem setting boundaries, then because the communication isn't there, because she never said it, and I never, when they accepted it, but what they did was, oh, we're not going to spend the night, we're going to leave. And they lived 2 hours away. Mm-hmm. So that was their reaction to it. Oh, we can't stay here, then we can't sleep together, and we're leaving.
But that's the thing, because I'm not going to read all this, but it has the ways people respond. But I think in chapter 5, it's like people, they don't have to understand. They don't have to to accept necessarily. You just have to respect your boundaries.
Yeah, just
respect them. You don't have to understand, because these are my boundaries. You can't impose yourself on me if I don't feel comfortable with that. And I'm saying no. I don't care if you're like, I don't like blue socks in my house. You know what?
Don't bring them.
Just don't bring blue socks.
See what I got.
Like, just have to be written. Like she said, the push for common responses to boundaries, pushback.
Yeah, I got pushback.
Limit testing, ignoring. People do that. Limit testing. That would be something that you'll hear my mouth from. Ignoring, rationalizing and questioning, defensiveness, ghosting.
I got ghosted. I got the silent treatment.
You didn't get accepted.
I got notified defensiveness. Yeah, most of that I got.
I know you got to get out of here, but I'm on chapter 2. So how far is it? Well, not to say it. But
30 minutes.
Okay. I'm going to go over a few of this thing. So you guys go out there and get the book. I read 1 through 5 this week. I'm just going to go over some of the headliners of the chapters. And then we are going to do, I can't remember. I think it is 6 through 10 next week or something like that. But we'll see. I will put another event up this week and tell you what chapters those are. So in chapter 2, it goes to the cost of not having boundaries, and the burnout phase she gets into, not what causes burnout, not knowing when to say no, not knowing how to say no, prioritizing others over yourself, people pleasing, hero syndrome, unrealistic expectations, not being appreciated. And that gets into a lot, and breaking those down in that chapter. Chapter 3 is why don't we have healthy boundaries? Boundaries are the key to healthier relationships. And it gets into kind of passing the buck. It's not me, it's them. And we tried once, but it failed. Like you put the boundary up and then it didn't happen, so you just let it go instead of reinforcing it again. That happens.
That's you, ain't it? When you put
That's true.
Okay, that's I'm just saying.
Yeah. Call me
Tell
out.
the truth,
Right. Misinterpreting what boundaries are. Boundaries are more than saying no, most definitely. So, like I said, get into that. Go ahead.
Yeah. But about the boundaries and just saying no. See, that's what I feel like when boundaries are more than just saying no. You gotta say some other things, because people try to go around the no.
They do.
And if you don't set the boundary, they're gonna keep on going all around that 360 circle. I can get in over here. I can get in over here.
Exactly.
That's what I think. I think that's what my roommate is doing.
Right. Your roommate ain't even. Now that's I'm saying it's funny, but it's not. It's like I'm moving in. You bet. We'll talk about it after, but yeah. So one thing I do want to get into a little bit detail, and then I'm gonna just go to briefly over the other chapters. Respecting kids' boundaries.
Amen.
As I think with the Gen X and especially the boomers, they did not respect children's boundaries, and because it is respect children's boundaries, our generation and maybe the kids that we had, or I ain't have none, but in that, so that's millennials or whatever, they had a hard time dealing with boundary issues, especially with children. Don't have your kids hug people they don't want to hug. Don't, respect if they don't want to eat something because you don't know how this making their stomach feel. Now they want to eat candy all day. I understand that. Be a parent. But just realize that you're raising adults. You're trying to raise them. You did think about them as a child, and they are. But the biggest part of your life, most parents are not preparing their children for. So they don't prepare them to have healthy communication. They don't prepare them to have healthy boundaries because they're like their kids, whatever. They don't prepare them for the longest duration of their life. So kids get into these areas and they have a lot of issues with relationships in general. So again, that's something we can get into another time, but I just wanted to really stop on that because in some of those parents out there, especially, it goes on both parts. Like if your parents are divorced, they maybe treat the son like the man of the house and the daughter like the second mother. Those are both bad. And it puts a toll on that child. Like, don't give children unnecessary adult responsibilities before their time.
I agree.
So going on. So chapter 4 is 6 types of boundaries. I'll just go over what they are. Let me just go here because I have it written down. So physical boundaries, sexual boundaries, intellectual boundaries, emotional boundaries, material boundaries, and time boundaries. If you have a problem with that, yes, again, get this book. And then lastly, chapter 5 is identify and communicate your boundaries. We've been talking about that the whole time. So
make sure I get it.
Again, we're going to do another two parts of this. We are due, I think, like I said, chapter 6 through 10, I think, and then whatever the rest of the book is the following week. So thank you for spending time with us. If you have any questions or anything, just leave them in the chat. And till the next time, see you later. Bye.
Yes.